Want to talk about the timing of when you shallow the club. Believe it or not, this matters a lot. Do I want to shallow the club really fast, meaning even at the top of my backswing, right? I see golfers saying, if I try to shallow the club, why don't I just do it really early and just try to keep it there? Well, if your swing is really short, you can probably get away with it. My swing was really, really short, and I just kept the swing super shallow here. I would ensure that coming down, I would obviously stay shallow. But the reality is most people's swings are not that short, right? There's a lot of lift happening at the same time. We're trying to get the club up over our body and the arms over our body. And so naturally that lengthens the backswing out, which means there's more time. If I try to bring it in too shallow to keep it shallow, oftentimes that could create a reroute that's penalizing. The later you shallow the club, the more inside out you're going to swing. That's the way you have to think about this, as simplified as it can be. Meaning, believe it or not, if my club is really across the line, that would imply that it's really steep. If coming down early in the downswing, it's still very, very steep, I'm not cutting across the ball here if the shaft is still in a state of shallowing, believe it or not. Meaning the more across the line I get, the later the club gets shallow in the downswing. The later it gets shallow in the downswing, the more inside out I swing. Well, obviously it could happen way too much and too late, where now I'm just going to hit blocks and hooks because my path is too far from the inside. But that could be a really good feel and visual for someone who cuts across the ball. Because what I tend to see more often than not is people who cut across the ball, outside of the obvious of like the face angle is open and we're trying to correct it, when it comes to specifically to the shaft movement, when I see golfers cut across the ball, I almost see always one of two patterns. I see a really upright arm plane, oftentimes because the golfer's not loading into their hips, which is a problem in itself. Or what I see is the club alignment is already too shallow at the top, too laid off. If it's too laid off already, by the time I get to the top of the backswing, how can I keep this club shallow coming down? I have to tilt my chest back to try to keep it there, which is no good because now I'm compensating my pivot. Or what happens is the shaft steepens and then they react with the pivot anyways. And that's no good. Or if you're a really bad golfer, what we'll see is the club is very laid off and there's no reaction from the body. So the golfer actually rotates. When the club is really shallow, it's going to start to work in front of you really fast. And then the golfer ends up cutting way across the golf ball. So the earlier the club gets shallow, the sooner it works back in front of you, meaning the more outside in you're likely to get. The later the club shallows out, if it's steep early in the downswing and then shallows really late, the more inside out you're likely to swing. Both extremes are no good. We do want to try to find something in the middle, but ideally, if you're somebody who's cutting across the ball, which is the masses, the later you can shallow the club, again, not extreme, but if we can shallow it just a little bit later from being slightly more down the line or across and then getting it there, it tends to benefit slicers because it can allow you to now start swinging more from the inside. And again, we're talking specifically about the club movement. Obviously, there's a million different things that will affect your path into the ball. But if you want to start actually getting your big slice and turning it into a draw, try to shallow the club, but believe it or not, if you shallow it a little later into the downswing, it'll benefit you more than if you just get it super shallow really early and then there's nowhere for the club to go but back in front of you coming down.